Hey, everybody. My name is Doug Fine, and I run a small consultancy in Augusta, Georgia for leadership, performance improvement, things like that. And I'm here with Ted McLyman today. Ted is the author of this book that we've been going through, Discover Your Money Temperament, a common sense guide to financial security. Ted McLyman, welcome for Chapter 10.
Doug, it's a pleasure to be here. And we are to the end, which in my opinion is really probably the most important chapter because it really ties it together. And to be very candid, I think it takes away every excuse out there that you may have to why money is hard, why you're not doing what needs to be done. It lays it out there. So let's go.
Let's go. So I want to go back. You mentioned this person, this alter ego kind of thing, this very a rational part of us. And this person is, we all have a rational part of us and we all have a very irrational part of us. But you lay in your protagonist, this entity, I'm going to call him, named A.Pex. It could be Arthur.Pex, it could be Andrea.Pex, but A.Pex is a companion to the protagonist. So tell me a little bit about that character and what they're all about. And do I have an apex too?
Everybody does. And again, let's go back to why this is not a book about money. This whole book is a narrative. It's a story, and it's written in such a way that you are part of the story. It is not gender specific. It is not, I don't use any adjectives. I don't use any labels. It's fun when I get people give me feedback in the book and they go, man, that was about me, or that was about her, or that was about him, or that was about my dog. It doesn't matter because I wrote it in such a way that you are the story, and I put you in it, that you're walking through the mall and you're talking at work and you're interacting with people and making these money decisions. And at the end of the day, Apex is up there on your shoulder and comes out at appropriate times to smack you in the side of the head to say, wait a minute, stop, count to 10, think, then act. Why Apex? In the book, I tell a story how Apex comes about, and the analogy I use is Apex is your Sherpa. A Sherpa is an entity, is an individual who helps climbers for some crazy reason go up to the top of Mount Everest. They're very, very special people. You don't hear much about your Sherpa in the very exciting movies. You know, you never really see them there, but when something's going to happen, you need something done, the Sherpa comes out, smacks you in the side of the head and say, listen, if we don't rest here, you will die.
Like, you know, how many times?
I wanted to have a metaphor. I wanted a metaphor that I could put in the book that basically says, wait a minute, we all have this Sherpa. We know intuitively when we're in a spending situation that this is uncomfortable. We know that we shouldn't have added the $5,000 navigation system when you're never going to take the car out of town and you know where you're going day to day. You know. But sometimes it's helpful to have that entity in that kind of resides in your subconscious that climbs out and moves into your from your feeling brain to your thinking brain and goes, wait a minute, stop, breathe. Do you really need the $19 cup of coffee when you can go to the gas station to get the same thing, unlimited fill for $1.99? Okay. Yes. If you can answer that question, fine. And just realize that the difference is $18 that you don't have to go someplace else.
Yeah.
We're not judging. So I wanted to use Apex as your lifeguard, your Sherpa, your honest broker, the person that says, yeah, you're on track. It's the little voice in your head that is always there. And, you know, it's the old analogy is, you know, your mom had eyes in the back of her head. Well, that's what Apex does.
Well, yeah,
you're doing good stuff and not so good stuff.
Well, that's what I remember reading. Apex says to the protagonist, you're a financial basket case. That's one of the things he calls him. And it's like, okay, so that Apex just gives the real deal. Like they'll stroke you when you're doing well. And they will really, really like hit you when you're acting crazy with money, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, let's think about it. Let's go back and head up Mount Everest. I don't want a Sherpa that is going to form a committee and let us discuss for an hour and a half that we're going to die in an hour and a half if we don't do something.
Right.
And it also goes back a little bit to my Marine Corps training. Apex might have served in the Marine Corps a little bit, but the point being is you need a benchmark. You need something. And I think this is a powerful piece of the book. This book is a leadership book. It's not a book about money. It's to help smart people who are busy discover why their money temperament is breaking them down and making them broke, and give them 5 easy steps to fix it. But it takes some personal responsibility. It takes some activity on your end. It's not, I bought the book and nothing happened. I bought the book, it's a journey. And this book is going to carry you through this journey like you have done. You've highlighted it. You've tabbed it. You've taken notes. This needs to be your personal guide to financial peace of mind. And the key point I want to bring up again and again and again, we're not judging. I get so tired of these financial programs that abuse you and beat you up emotionally because you're not doing this or not doing that. And some of the worst are the ones I think is they show that you see them on Instagram all the time. They show a picture of a Ferrari and it's always a 20-something person in the Ferrari standing from a large mansion and goes, hey, you can be just like me. Really? I don't know. But the point being is it's your life. They're your values, your temperament, your journey. I want to have a manual to help you get there, and Apex is your Sherpa guide. I am transferring Sherpa from me to you. Apex will make you wealthy if you choose. It will give you a higher quality of life if you choose, but you got to read it and you got to do it.
Read it and do it. That's the thing. I think that your book, it takes the approach that one size fits one. And that's what I've loved about you from the very beginning, Ted. It's like you are such a learner and kind of a student of people and of personalities and stuff. But you, from the very beginning, you would go, it doesn't matter. If you want a $6 cup of coffee, you can have it. It just doesn't matter. But just kind of be aware that be aware that that's a decision you're making. Yeah, and the consequences of a $7 cup of coffee. Yeah. So Ted, just to round things out, there's a couple of things that you share in chapter 10 about sort of the wisdom that you've come to. And when I say that, it's like this probably could be worth the price of admission, because your bio, by the way, a really detailed bio is in the back of the book. And it's about Ted, and Ted is an extremely accomplished guy. He's done really great things in the military and out. The dude's like a triple Ironman guy. He runs marathons with his wife. I mean, so this guy, you take no prisoners in life, but at the same time, you never come across like, listen to me, I know what I'm doing. No, you're humble. You're an advisor kind of guy, and you want to help people. And that's, again, what this book is all about. So let me just grab a couple of few things that you say, and you describe them as this. Here's an interesting list of things I've picked up about money that you might want to consider as you gaze into the future with your checkbook in hand. And let me just go, let's talk about this one.
Go through the list.
It says, you can't time the market, so don't try. Stuff happens, often randomly, so know the risks and prepare accordingly. Given enough data, you can, quote, prove anything. Numbers folks don't always do numbers well, and it requires a computer to muddle things up. Funny, too. He's got a sense of humor, too. Numbers are scary. You like a good story more than a long spreadsheet. Beware of the sales presentation with no numbers that puts your feeling brain someplace you can't afford. I love that. Is that a timeshare kind of thing? When they want to sell you a timeshare? Just about anything. How about this? You like to trust experts, but experts can be and often are wrong. Oh man, this is humiliating, but in a good way. You're not as smart as you think. Just because you were good at one thing does not mean you're good at something else. Listen up, brilliant professional people. So you run into all kinds of people in your work that they're really, really accomplished and really, really smart in certain things, but they're probably can be really dumb when it comes to their financial
Oh, yeah.
experience.
I mean, just take a look at professional athletes that are making millions and millions of dollars and are absolutely bankrupt in 18 months after they get hurt or something like that. The stories of very successful professions, medicine, law, consultancy, where people get way out in front of their earnings. And when you have a downturn like we've just had, they're literally living, payday to payday. Now, granted, their payday
Yeah.
sometimes pretty big, but they just find out they got a lot of stuff they can't afford. And it's just nicer stuff that real people can
afford. Yeah. So why don't we end it on this? You have coaches for everything else you do. Money is money any less important than yoga, skiing, or golf? So what jumps out at you there? Some of those things of wisdom that you've taken in your career and have incorporated it kind of into the way you move through the world with your money, and how you want to help people understand from what you've learned.
Well, for me, this is an autobiographical book in a lot of sense, because everything in there, I've done every stupid thing you can with money. And fortunately, my wife has a chronicle of all of it and brings it out when appropriate. But I wanted to write a book for real people who know they've got to get their heads and arms around money, particularly women. Women need this book. Why? Because you're going to spend a third of your life alone, one way or the other. You have to now take responsibility for that. You have to prepare for it. I had a story that I was working with a widow a few years back, and the deceased went from being, the lovely dead guy to the dead SOB in about 10 minutes once we found out that everything she thought he had put together wasn't there. That's not the time to find that out.
Right.
More and more people are on their own. The safety nets are not there as they were in the past. So if I had to take away, this book is a book I think you should throw in your briefcase, your purse, or should be in the driver's side of your car everywhere you go someplace to spend money. And just by the fact that you're looking at it is going to put you in a frame of mind that you're going to have a situational awareness to be more probably focused with your spending. And it's okay to spend. If you don't realize that when you go to the prime outlet store that you're there to spend money, you're naive. Anything with the name Galleria, you're going to spend a premium for, okay? And if you've got friends and associates that are more affluent with you and you want to run in that group, fine. But you have to realize that there are some emotional costs and there are some financial costs associated with that. And you may have to have a real talk with yourself, or Apex is going to crawl out of the back of your head and smack you real hard and go, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Absolutely. When you said run with that group, that in itself is an emotional decision, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, okay, you may not even be conscious, but it's the good old keep up with the Joneses kind of thing. I want to run with that group, and that's not a conscious decision to make.
No.
It's basically like they're spending it, so I better too. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and it's always the move up. I need to go to a better neighborhood. I need to do this. Well, you get to the point where it doesn't make any sense. And I could go on and on about studies about happiness and all that kind of good stuff. And it's usually not as involved as people think it is. It usually comes down to family, some degree of financial security and stability, and your emotional relationships are the key.
There you go.
It's not having two-match Mercedes and a speedboat, that you can't afford to put gas in. That doesn't make any sense at all. It just adds pressure.
So let me
one last.
Sure, please, Ted. One last.
No, I was going to say, my daughter is the road manager for a couple of the very top entertainers in the world in her genre, and I won't get into it.
Sure.
But this is a good example that, she's flying around on private jets and catered and all that, and she's been in situations with billionaires and whatever, and she ain't one of them. But because of what she's learned, and because of the things that are in this book, she gets it. And as a young single woman, she's done the right thing. She owns her own house. It'll be paid off early. She has no debt. She's putting money away where her contemporaries are not even close.
There you go.
And she buys sneakers and jeans and t-shirts.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, Ted, I want to remind our listeners here today, again, this is the book we've covered in 10 segments. Finished chapter 10 today. It's Discover Your Money Temperament by Ted McLyman, and the tag is A Common Sense Guide to Financial Security. One thing I didn't mention throughout this series, Ted, is that you have all kinds of resources in the back where websites and such, tools and resources and things attached to your name and attached to your business. That this is another great thing to buy the book for, just to be able to be in touch. But tell me one or two of the ways people can get a hold of you and learn more about this book besides buying it. I want people to buy this book, people. It's just like you said, put it in your car, tag it up, and do something with it. That's my commitment to myself. But tell me about how we can get in touch with you, Ted.
The best way is my website, which is tedmclyman.com.
Okay.
And I also have another link, which is Discover Your Money Temperament, which takes you to Ted McLyman. For some reason, I'm the only one that can spell my last name.
You want to tell me you want to tell me a little bit about your Facebook presence too regarding the book?
Well, I'm all over social media. I have a YouTube channel that has all of these fine videos on it. You can go through those and get an understanding of who I am and what my passion is. I have a Facebook group called Discover Your Money Temperament where you can join and we talk about these things. I have a Facebook page called Ted McLyman, Twitter account called Ted McLyman, Instagram called Ted McLyman. You see there's a little repetition here.
Yeah.
If you put in Ted McLyman, you're going to find me. I'm the only one in the United States.
Seriously? That's great. I have a Doug.
It makes it easy.
There's a Doug Fine out there that he's all about cannabis. Google him. He's written books about cannabis. He's an amazing guy. Anyway, so it is Ted McLyman, McLyman. That's how you spell it.
Yeah, hold it up just a little bit later. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, take the space out. You got me. That's my website.
Sounds good, Ted. Ted, it's been a real pleasure. I hope that I know that books are selling, and I hope this helped a little bit. But more to the point, get to know this guy because he could really help you. And this book is a gift, and I hope you see it as such when you buy it. Just take it; it's invaluable. That's my last thing to say. Ted, thank you very much. Maybe we could do a catch up in a few months and see.
Hey, I'm available anytime. Thank you so much for your time in putting this together. I hope it has been a benefit. If there are any questions, go to the website. Get a hold of Doug. Doug can get a hold of me.
Yes.
And if you have anything particular you'd like us to talk about, a more focused topic or something like that, get a hold of Doug and we'll put it together.
Beautiful, Ted. Thank you again, and stay safe. Keep the mask on when you're outside, right?
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks again.
That's all, folks.